Hey, what's up everyone? It's your boy Got This and is back with another guide, this time for Throne and Liberty. So, I'll be sharing a couple of things that I've found out throughout the game while I was playing it ever since the launch on the global server. And what I found out is it's a pretty grindy game, but it's all worth it in the end if you're into MMOs. So, to start off, I'll be doing a short introduction with the leveling guide, as the leveling guide isn't really that long in the game, and it took me around 6 hours to max out my character from 1 to 50. And what I did from here was that I focused mainly on the story quests. So the adventure codex, or the main story, is what you need to focus on in the guide, and through this you'll be able to accumulate a huge amount of XP to get you to max level right away. Another thing you might notice is that throughout the different chapters, you might find yourself being bottlenecked for the levels, and to complement for this, you would need to take on the different exploration quests through the exploration codex. In the exploration codex, you'll be able to find different kinds of quests, which allows you to gain the XP that you need in order to proceed with the new chapters in the adventure codex. So from here, you basically don't need to do everything in the exploration codex. You only need to do enough to get you to the bottleneck to be able to surpass that and start with the new chapter. So as soon as you finish the exploration codex, or let's say you gain enough XP, you can immediately stop from where you are and proceed with the adventure codex, as this one would give you the most amount of XP, and as soon as you proceed to another chapter, you'll find yourself in another bottleneck, and you just have to rinse and repeat through the exploration codex until you surpass the bottleneck for the chapter. So that's basically it for the leveling. And if you have any difficulties with doing the different kinds of quests, such as killing the giants and you're not able to defeat it, or there are some quests wherein you won't be able to finish it due to it having certain requirements, such as finishing the quest during nighttime or doing it on daytime, or waiting in the middle of the night and daytime just to be able to get the XP, or the quest done to get the XP, then you can just pass the quest and proceed with another one that you can do immediately. So doing all of this without stopping, without doing any dungeons, it was gonna cost you around 6 to 7 hours, maybe around 10 max if you're really slow at it, or you're just starting off and getting the hang of it. But all in all, it's pretty simple getting to max level. The grind really starts when you're done with the leveling phase, which is post 50. So for here you'll be doing a couple of things when you get to post 50. First thing you want to do, or you can even do this thing before you reach 50, is to join a guild. Joining a guild is pretty important, as you need to be donating as soon as possible, as soon as you get into the game. Donating is very important in the game, as it allows you to buy different things in the guild store, which I'll be showing to you in a bit. Let me just get over there and show you what's in the guild store right now.
The war's about to begin.
So in the guild store, you'll be able to purchase a couple of things. Mainly, the most important thing here is the precious base material selection chest. You can get 3 of these every day, and it's really important as it's the purple mats, which allows you to get different kinds of materials inside the box, which contains the different epic materials, which allows you to craft the lithographs or the items or whatever it is that's in the game that's craftable, which you can easily find through the different crafters. The next thing would be, in my own personal opinion, would be the rare recovery crystals, as the recovery crystals are pretty hard to get in the game. From what I know, you can only get it through the guild shop, or aside from that, it's gonna be in the secret dungeons, and it's just a one-time thing, so this is most probably the only way to get it on a consistent basis. And if you want, you can also get the quality recovery crystals. It's not much, but it's still HP, it's still a potion, which is still important. And next would be the trait conversion stones. They're pretty important, as you need 100 of these to be able to convert the trait of a certain weapon that you have into a random trait, although it's not guaranteed, but the chance is still there, wherein you'll be able to get what you want. And lastly, I think it's also good to buy rare weapons selection chest, as you'll be able to get a blue weapon for your choice or the choice of your liking. And even if you don't need a weapon, you can get a random trait which you might need to extract and to place it on your main blue weapon that you're going to be using throughout the entirety of the early game or the early phase of the game that you have right now. And aside from that, the guild's also important as it has a guild contract which is done for everyone inside the guild, and it allows you to receive rewards for the contribution that you've done towards the quest. You also get guild skills. One of these increases guild XP or increases the solant you gain in the game or when you grind, and another thing would be to receive the different kinds of bonuses such as having bonus damage or just increasing the Abyssal contract token efficiency. So these are pretty small buffs, but it goes a long way as buffs build up in the game, and it's really important to have them. The next one would be when you join a guild, you have to make sure that whatever guild you're joining for the guild, you'd have to make sure that the boss loot is set to either the guild acquires after 5 minutes or to guild members. This is if you're joining a random guild that you don't know of and you're just joining it for the sake of being able to buy the materials. Because what's happening right now is that some people are joining guilds without knowing the settings of the distribution. So let's say when you attend to a world boss and you receive an epic loot and the boss loot is set to guild, that loot that you have is immediately gonna go to the guild inventory, and chances are guild leader might not give it to you, or it's gonna be distributed throughout the guild. So if it's set to guild members, that means the loots are whoever gets it in the first place, and if it's the guild acquires after 5 minutes, as soon as you receive the epic equipment, you are given 5 minutes to choose or decide whether you donate it to the guild or you keep it to yourself. So it's just a little setting that you might want to check as soon as you join a guild. And do take note that if you join a guild and you do decide to leave it, it takes a day and a couple of hours or a few hours, so you might need to choose wisely for the guild that you're joining into. I recommend joining into guilds that have Discord servers, as you can really check out how the guild looks like just from their Discord server. And the next thing you need to know is the different kinds of equipments or things that you need to buy from the different merchants. So the first thing I would do is to go to Sundry's merchant every day and buy out the different materials needed for cooking, as these are very finite and you would need this to be able to improve your cooking skills. The next thing would be the weekly resets for the scrolls. Now these scrolls are very important as it gives a huge amount of reward as soon as you finish the different kinds of quests inside the scrolls. In this case, the only thing I can use inside this right now would be the quest or contract scrolls for the Shadowed Crypt, as it's currently the only thing that's open in our server, which is Alexia. From there, you would also want to buy some Stellarites, as the Stellarites increase your damage by like 10%. However, do take note that you might need a lot of this because it drains a lot of Stellarite. Each attack that you do, each skill drains 1 Stellarite, and imagine the number of attacks or skills you're doing every second or every minute. So yeah, that's basically it for the Sundry's merchant. Next will be the contract coin merchant. So one of the things I would prioritize buying on a weekly basis would be the enchanted ink first. The enchanted ink is very important as you need this to be able to create lithograph or blank lithographs, which in turn are used for extracting the lithographs of weapons, armors, or accessories, which you can use to sell into the auction house to earn some fat lucent. The next thing would be the trait extraction stones. So in case you don't want to extract the lithographs of certain weapons, or they cannot be extracted as not all weapons, armors, or accessories can be extracted or turned into lithographs, you can instead extract their traits and you can sell them in the auction house, especially if those traits go for a big price, such as having an armor with a trait of max health, which usually is the most expensive if I remember correctly in the auction house. So you only need 25 of these for the purple equipment, so judging by how many you can buy on a weekly basis, I'd say you can really earn a lot of lucent. considering that you're lucky and you're getting the purple equipments.
I never get bored.
After you buy these two, I would say getting a blessing pouch is also good, as it increases your chances of getting a purple equipment. And although it's not guaranteed to give you a purple equipment, you can still receive the contract scrolls, which is used to be able to do the contract quests, such as the ones in Shadow Crypt, which also gives pouches in return for each quest that you finish. And aside from that, you can also buy the Mystic Keys. The Mystic Keys are important as you have this weekly quest. As soon as you reach 50, you'll be able to unlock this. And the weekly mission, in one of those, you'd have to accumulate a total of 25 globes. And these globes are scattered throughout the map. Like, trust me, once you go out, you'll be able to find one. However, you'll only be able to find one if and only if you have these Mystic Keys.
Items may be low, but I
If you don't have this Mystic Key in your inventory, there is zero chance of you being able to find a globe, as these globes only show up in the map as soon as you have keys in your inventory. You can only have 5 a day, so judging by the weekly mission, you have 5 days to complete it if you buy the Mystic Keys. Aside from that, you can also get the quality lithograph weapons, accessories, and armors, which are also important if you wish to complete your lithograph books, as the lithograph books right now require a lot of equipment to complete. And in return, they give good rewards too. So, let's say you craft 4 different kinds of sword and shields, it gives you 1 rare sword and shield, which is pretty good considering that this is actually hard to get in the game, and these 4 shields can just be easily crafted and then stored into the lithograph. There's also a lot of other things such as armors, accessories, there's even polished steels, some threads, or different materials that you need. After that, we'll be heading over to the equipment
the war's
merchant.
about to begin.
Now, first thing you may notice here is that it's just selling the gray gears, or just the starting gears. However, these are also quite important as you need these gears to be placed inside the lithograph to increase your lithograph completion rate. As you can see here, there's also a lithograph book for all of the gray equipments that you might need to place inside the lithograph. And most of these equipments can be found here, which you can purchase and in turn place into the lithograph book to complete. So it's pretty simple, the different merchants and the different kinds of things that you need to buy on a daily basis, just keep that in mind. Next thing I want to talk about would be the lithograph book itself. So the lithograph book contains a lot of things that you might find handy as you start off in the game, such as the purple equipments or the blue equipments. However, what I want to focus more is with regards to the different blue equipments that you have or that you can receive through finishing the lithograph book. So crafting these weapons here only require you to have the materials for the uncommon weapons, armors, or accessories along with their lithograph recipes, which you can purchase on the contract coin merchant, which I've shown earlier. So completing these would give you a full set of blues from the different kinds of armors, weapons, or accessories. So there really isn't any reason for you to have green gear left as you progress through the game, as you can easily get all these blue equipments. So the next thing I would like to talk about would be the Coop dungeons and their tokens. So as soon as you reach level 50, assuming you haven't used any contract tokens, you can use the contract tokens to be able to do the different kinds of dungeons that we have available in the first phase of the game. In this case, there's about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, around 6 dungeons. Yeah, 6 dungeons that you can do, and depending on which dungeon you choose, each one gives out specific rewards. So depending on your gears or the weapons that you need, you might need to run different kinds of dungeons in the game. However, what I would recommend is that if you're just starting out and you don't know what to do yet, then you might read up on guides and how to be able to pass through the different dungeons along with the different wipe mechanics to be able to avoid it completely. As what I've noticed is that people in the party matchmaking queue usually have short fuses rather, as they tend to kick you out as soon as you screw up a run. Let's say you guys wipe out like 2 to 3 times, then you should more or less expect a kick already from them. So to avoid that, you might want to read up on the mechanics of the boss or the dungeon before you run it. Also, another option would be to just search through the party board and see the different people who are running the different dungeons. Some are very forgiving, and some people just want others who already knows the mechanics. However, you can find from time to time that some people don't care if you have experience or not, as long as you're willing to listen. And yeah, that's basically it for co-op dungeons. You get 900 points a day for the tokens, the contract tokens, and then what each run of this consumes up to 300. That's if you loot the chest. Looting the chest gives you a chance to get one of the expected rewards. However, it consumes 300 tokens and you get 900 a day, which equates to around 3 runs per day. However, you don't have to worry if you don't finish up on the 3 runs, as you can accumulate up to a total of 4,500 tokens, which consumes about 15 runs in total. So you don't have to worry about that. And yeah, just do what you can, learn the mechanics, make sure you don't screw up. Win-win for everyone. The next thing I want to talk about would be not to pass up on your secret dungeon, as the secret dungeon gives a considerable amount of rewards starting from the first floor up to the 20th floor. So for the first floor, there isn't really much to do up until the, I believe, 8th floor or 9th floor. And then from that base, you would already want to start learning the mechanics of some bosses. There's also a guide for this online, I believe, for the different kinds of bosses, so you'll know how to encounter each and every one of them. But it's mostly just about learning how to perfect block, which is pretty easy as it's just one button. So yeah, that's basically it for your secret dungeons. And we also have the Gate of Infinity, which refreshes every week. This is more or less like a time attack, wherein you have to finish the dungeon within a set amount of time, and in turn you'll be able to receive achievement rewards, which is also pretty good. As the most important thing here would be the trait conversion stones and the training dew, which gives weapon XP, which is pretty important in the game, as progressing with your weapons is pretty slow. And the next thing would be the Abyssal contract tokens and what to do with them. So on your top right, as soon as you reach 50, or even before 50, you can already consume the Abyssal contract tokens in the game. So these tokens are used to farm the open world dungeons that we have available in the game. And by open world dungeons, I mean dungeons such as the Temple of Silabeth, the Ant's Nest, the Silius's Abyss, and the Shadowed Crypt. As of the moment, these are the only open world dungeons that we currently have, as we're still currently in the first phase of the game. However, as we unlock more chapters or milestones throughout the coming weeks, we'll be able to unlock other dungeons such as the Saradoma Island, the dungeon inside there, and the Sanctum of Desire, which is also another level 50 dungeon that's currently locked. So if you hover over the locked dungeons, you'll be able to see which milestone needs to be completed first before it gets unlocked. Now these milestones are happening throughout your server, or it's a server wide thing, so you don't have to worry about it, as everyone gets to go inside at the same time. And for the Abyssal dungeon tokens, one thing you need to make sure of is as soon as you go inside one of these, you have to first check whether it's in conflict or at peace. Now, one thing to know is that if it's at conflict, it means that it's a PvP open area. So basically, the moment you get in, there's a chance you'll get destroyed by someone or a PvP player right away. And basically, you just have to wait until the night clears up and it turns to day in the game time to be able to go back to the peace mode for the open world dungeons, as the conflict mode only happens during the night time. And always be sure that you're with the party, as having a party really boosts your Abyssal contract tokens rate of farming, as the Abyssal contract tokens only get reduced every time you get a drop from a mob, and the only way to do that efficiently is to make sure that you have a party or a full party of 6 who are pulling mobs together, clumping them in a group, and making sure that they're getting the tags first. And one thing you should take note of is that if you try to hit a mob and it's gray in color, that means that whatever the mob drops, it wouldn't belong to you, or you won't be getting any drops from the mob. You have to be the first one to tag the mob to be able to ensure that you and your party members get a drop from the mob itself. So you'll easily be able to identify this by making sure that the mob color is red instead of gray when you click on it. This means that you currently have the priority because you're the one who tagged the mob. So that's basically it for the Abyssal contract tokens. The next thing I want to discuss would be something very important, which is in the shop section. And this is the usage of your Ornate Coins. So, as you start the game, you'd see that you wouldn't have enough Ornate Coins yet. However, getting those purple books, which are scattered throughout the map, such as this one, or not books but paper rather, that gives you 3 Ornate Coins each. So you get 3 for each, and it might not seem a lot, but it accumulates over time as there's really a lot of them over the world map. And every maintenance also receives a compensation for all the players. So each player gets a set amount of Ornate Coins for every maintenance that occurs in the game. So you'll find yourself in no time having an abundance of these. And what you can do is, there's a lot of options here. So you can either buy the Blessing Pouch or the Skill Books. So what I recommend first is, if you don't feel you're lucky at all with the Blessing Pouch, because by now you would already know that the Blessing Pouch gives different kinds of purple equipments by chance. So it's not a guaranteed kind of thing wherein when you open it you get a purple equipment, and you want to find a way to increase your progress faster, then I'd suggest or recommend buying the skill books, as the purple skill books only cost 10 each and you can buy 20 in a monthly basis for the passive and the active skills. So please bear in mind that the passive and the active skills have different skill books. So when you buy one of these, you'll be able to find that you may be able to dismantle them, or dissolve them rather, and dissolving them gives you 10 blue books. So if you're thinking what I'm thinking right now, then yes, by this time you would already have all purple skills just from buying the skill books from the Ornate Coin shop. And having purple skills really is a huge factor in increasing your damage, as each level increases your skills damage by a ton, like a lot, like I'm not even kidding. So yeah, aside from buying the pouches, the books are also pretty good, and having purple skills, epic skills, is a good thing as it increases your damage by a lot. So the next thing I would want to discuss is something I personally prefer, which is with regards to the stat allocations in the game. So as you start off in the game, and you may find yourself reading some guides wherein it requires you to have like around 60 dexterity or 60 strength. However, we can already tell that since you're just starting off, then it's pretty much impossible to achieve that. So what I recommend is balancing out everything first for the different stat points. So I'd say reaching the first threshold for each stat would be the best idea, as each stat gives its own different achievement effect. So let's say for strength you get 750 max health, for dex you get critical hit chance of 100, for wisdom you get 750 max mana, and for perception you get a hit chance of 100. So I recommend balancing everything out first, and you don't really have to worry, as even though you're balancing out all the stat points, you're still getting additional damage from it. And it's also better as you get more achievement effects. You can most probably just adjust them later on in the game, as the reset is just free anyway. And the reason why I suggest this is because if you reach the 30 point threshold, each stat point is already gonna drain 2 extra stat points from you instead of just 1. So you're getting 31 dex instead of getting 14 perception. So that's like a huge change in the stat points, as you're getting you're getting the value of 1 only instead of 2, which isn't really very efficient in terms of gaining stats. So that's just my personal take on the stat allocation, and that's how I see myself moving forward in this game until I get the equipments that I need. And the next thing I would talk about would be the auction house and how you could earn lucent. So as you can see in the auction house, people are selling different kinds of equipments in the game, which spans from the different weapons, armors, accessories, all the way to your different materials or even the food. Which is why I emphasize buying the different kinds of materials in the Sundries Merchant earlier, as you could be able to craft food which you can sell in the auction house. So in terms of this, you can basically, there's 2 ways, or there's actually a lot of ways, but I want to talk about 2 ways on how you can earn. First would be through extracting the different kinds of traits that you have in the weapons. So let's say you have this, like the grip of executioner, and I want to extract the trait of it. So I have to click on the item, then I click on the trait extraction, then I can extract the trait which I have for my grip of executioner, which is magic evasion, and I can check it in the auction house to see how much it's worth. So for my magic evasion, it's worth 115 lucent. So if I find this worth it, then what I would do is I would extract it using the trait extraction zone, which costs 25 and 75k solent, and sell it straight up in the auction house. That's how I'd be receiving lucent for my equipment. However, I'm just saving up on this right now because as soon as I reach my future purple equipment, I'll be needing the magic evasion and as well as the health regen, which is likely, as in the future you need more purple equipments to be able to trade up your purple equipments, which is pretty hard to come by in the start of the game. And then, so yeah, that's basically it about earning lucent. Oh yeah, there's one more thing, which is also earning lucent through lithographies, which is the second way, which I forgot to mention earlier. So you can, aside from just extracting their traits, you can also choose to lithograph these items, and the prices of these in the auction house are pretty good too. So if you find it worth it to craft a lithograph armor, a blank lithograph armor, then you can be sure to extract the lithograph for the side equipment and sell it in the auction house, because it's impossible for you to sell an equipment straight up from your inventory to the auction house unless you turn it into a lithograph first, except for if you craft it, or if you craft an item with great success, which is like 10% or 20% chance. That's only when you can sell it for a good price in the auction house straight up. Then another one I would want to talk about would be doing your weekly mission quests. So as soon as you hit level 50, you'll be able to unlock this feature, and you'll be able to see a lot of different things here, such as acquiring the globes, which I talked about earlier through the use of the mystic keys, performing dynamic event performance rewards or quests, and completing resistance contracts. So each of these have a chance to net you a purple equipment at the end of the week. So what's gonna happen is that by the end of the week, this tab is gonna go down here to last week's missions, and you can click each tab and check on which equipment you're getting. However, you have to take note that you're only getting one out of all of this here. So you have to make sure that the one thing that you're getting is the most important out of all the options that you have with the rewards. So yeah, that's basically it for the weekly mission. Next would be something I greatly put importance in, which is the Amitoi expeditions. So you can do this as early as like level 9 or 10, I believe. And as soon as you get into your Amitoi house, you have to keep doing these expeditions. So you have to maximize it. So if you have a little bit of playtime, you can also choose to set the Amitois to go on an expedition for 8 hours, so you only have to collect it every 8 hours. But the most important thing here would be to do the expeditions located over in the Monolith Wasteland, in Stone Guards, as the different kinds of expeditions in Stone Guards gives you salt. Yeah, for the Stone Mason and Monolith Wastelands. The salt is important for cooking in the game, and it's very limited in resource. So to maximize it, you might want to get it through the Amitoi expeditions. And it also gives a considerable amount of contract tokens, rather, I believe. Where is that? Yeah, this one. It gives you Abyssal contract tokens, which you can use for the open world dungeons. So that's it for the Amitoi House, and the thing next I would be talking about, which is quite something that everyone talks about right now, would be deciding whether you should go for fully blue equipment or purple equipment. So in the game, since you're just starting off and everyone's just starting off, you'll find it difficult to be able to trade your purple equipments, as we all know that to trade purple equipments you would need purple equipments too to be able to trade your purple equipments fully. So in this case, what I recommend is just sticking with your blues first and farming it out in the open world dungeons, or if you're lucky enough in the different kinds of co-op dungeons to receive blue equipments too. That was sarcastic, by the way. Then you would go with using your blue equipments and just trade them fully, as they also give a lot of CP. I've been seeing a lot of people have like 2.5k gear score and they only have full blues on them, which is quite insane. So if you think that it's time for you to already surpass the blue equipment and you're ready for your next step on the purple equipment, you can feel yourself comfortable already getting the different kinds of traits, or you already have some stacked up in your storage or inventory. And what I'd recommend by then would be to first, you don't have to transfer it right away. You don't have to transfer your blue to purple. You would first have to get your selected purple equipment from +0 all the way to +7, 30% at least. Yes, 30%. So +7, 30%. So that way you'd be transferring. So that way when you transfer the blue equipment, which is +9, over to your purple equipment, which is +7 and 30% at least, you'd be able to get your purple equipment immediately to max level, which is +9. So this saves you all the resources that you need to plus it from +7, 30% to +9, which is quite a lot. You need a lot more tokens, or a lot more currency. In this case, it would be the growth stones. You would need a lot more of this, getting it all the way from +7 to +9, as compared to just getting it to +1 to +7. So that's my take on how you should prioritize your equipments. Then the traits that are in your blue equipment, if you've been wondering what happens to them by the time you transfer it over to your purple, they'll be converted into a blessing, which will aid you when you're trying to get the traits for a new purple piece of gear. So in case you didn't know, there's another way of getting traits that isn't just having to extract them or having the same item, although you need to have that. And that would be through feeding the items with the same slot with that trait, but with the lower rarity of it. So if you're feeding a trait for your purple with the blue equipment, there would be a low chance of succeeding, which is like 10%. However, each fail gives you like a pity system, similar to a gacha, wherein the more fails you have, the more chances you have of actually getting it to succeed. So doing that, all the traits that you fully maxed out when you still had your blue equipments would be transferred over to your purple as blessings. So there's still a chance that you'll have it maxed out. Or not maxed out, but at least traded up, rather. So it still improves your odds of getting to the end game faster. And it's very more efficient. And the last thing I'd want to talk about would be the usage of your contracts. So in the game, you have this contract manager,
I work as a
and
contract
then
manager, but I
as
have
soon
a
as you get to
heart of
50,
adventure since I work
what
with
I
the
recommend is
assistants.
doing your contracts from Watcher's Point or through Pure Light Tower, as these contract managers have the max level contracts that you need in the game.
Knowing when to give up a contract also shows
So
bravery.
you get around 10 contracts every day, and it refreshes at, I don't know, in my time in 6 hours, so it's like 5 a.m. And you get to have only 5 active contracts at a time. So what I recommend is that you get those contracts that you believe you need right now for the materials. In my case, I would always need a parchment and the red stone for the weapons. Forgot how you call it. Rubric ore, yeah, red rubric ore. And with that, every time you get one contract quest, you can always refresh the contract afterwards. So it gives you more chances of getting the kinds of different items that you need. But the most important thing in the contract list is that whenever you see a blessing pouch, you should always take it, no matter what kind of quest it is, because the blessing pouch gives you a chance to get the purple equipment, which is the most important thing in the game right now. So yeah, every time you get a quest, be sure to refresh it so you have a chance of getting a purple pouch. If not, just take what you need. My own personal opinion would be the red or the rare rubric ore, which allows you to create more growth stones for your weapons. So yeah, that's basically it for everything that I know throughout the game ever since launch of the global servers. And if you guys are interested and if you guys want to know more, you can leave a comment telling me what you guys need or what you want to know more about. And I also stream almost every day for around 2 to 3 hours at random times, but if you follow and subscribe, you might find me online at the time that you're not expecting me to be. And if you guys like this video, please leave a comment, leave a like, or tell me what I can do to improve so I can provide you guys with more content in the future. Got this out. Thanks everyone.